Booyah, Recruiting Nation. Welcome to episode 15. And as I mentioned in episode 14, Chief Totome remains on his secret mission, but he'll be back for the next episode. And I'm really excited about this episode because I have with me today the Navy's Chief of Chaplains, Rear Admiral Greg Todd, here to talk about the Chaplain Corps and recruiting and whatever else is on your mind.
That's great to be here, Admiral. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you give recruiters just a little sense of who you are and kind of your role as the Chief of Chaplains?
Yeah, so joined the Navy in 1986, a few years ago, and I have been in supporting the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Coast Guard. So not everybody knows that the Navy supplies the chaplain for the Marine Corps and for the Coast Guard, as well as the Merchant Marine Academy. So our breadth is about 570,000 active duty personnel and their families. So a great opportunity to lead our team of about 900 active duty chaplains and another 250 reserve chaplains.
Yeah, talk about punching above your weight. I mean, that's a lot. It's an incredible ratio. And I think many of the recruiters out there have interacted with chaplains throughout their time because all of the recruiters at some point or other, in addition to being recruiters, were on a ship, at an aircraft squadron, or some other initial duty where the interactions with chaplains happen every day. And they also happen in recruiting, right?
Right, and that's the thing. Our best Chaplain Corps recruiters are the ones who've had interaction with chaplains, who know chaplains, and have been the beneficiaries of being with chaplains.
Yeah. So give the recruiters just a little bit of a sense of your perspective on the state of the Chaplain Corps. What's the demand signal for chaplains? I know we're gathered here in Colorado Springs with some of your leaders to talk about those things.
Yeah, it is a challenge. We're at a point now where the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard have all asked us for more chaplains. So the demand signal is up. They're asking us to grow. And of course the challenge then is to recruit to those numbers. Some of the things that we're looking at on the horizon, some of the challenges that we're going to be facing, but even just the current day-to-day challenges, we found that chaplains can be that kind of helper to get them through some of those challenges.
Yeah. And one of the things I found interesting in the discussion right before I spoke to the chaplains down there was this idea that mental health professionals are also recommending additional chaplains because of what you bring to the table.
Right. Well, what they're finding is that with this generation, they've been encouraged to go get counseling if they have issues, which is a good thing. But in some respects, not everything is a mental health problem. Sometimes it's just the challenges of life and the challenges of maturing. And those aren't always appropriate for mental health providers, and they are our partners. So chaplains can deal with some of the not quite mental health issues, mental health providers and mental health issues, and we work as a team as partners on the issue.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, really important. And so maybe give the recruiters just a little bit of your perspective on sort of the role of the CHOPO. There's a program manager in my headquarters for the chaplain recruiting. What's your sense of how that's going, and what things maybe do we need to sort of work on?
Yeah, my charge to the CHOPOs is really twofold. I ask them to kind of think of it in two sides. Of course, one is to support the recruiting mission. I need more chaplains. I need more RPs. So the CHOPOs to support the recruiters in that mission and to kind of be the professional end of that, to be able to articulate what we're looking for in terms of chaplains. But I've also asked the CHOPOs to think about the recruiters as people. The challenges of recruiting, we get it. It's hard, and the recruiters are doing amazing work. But we as chaplains also want to be able to provide support to the recruiters so that they're strong to be able to meet that mission.
Yeah, it's a great sort of dual role for that chaplain, program manager, the CHOPOs, all of them in chaplain. Doing the mission, the traditional mission of a chaplain, as well as they're also a recruiter, right?
It's a lot.
and there's work to be done to get that flow in. So, as the officer recruiters understand, but maybe not all recruiters understand, there's a few types of chaplains that we recruit, or categories of recruiting. Sort of the direct accessions, right. You've got the collegiate program, and then there's a direct commissioned officer, the reserve chaplains. Maybe a little bit of perspective on that and where the emphasis is, and maybe where you might like it to move.
Yeah, I recognize it's a tough recruiting mission because we require a master's degree for all our chaplains, and then the DoD instruction requires 2 years of experience on top of that. Now, based on their maturity and all, we can look at waiving that 2 years of experience. We can't waive the master's degree, though. So you're coming to somebody who is already established in their career and saying, hey, do you want to join the Navy? It doesn't always work that way.
Right.
So I think our greatest opportunity, and we see it often in terms of the reserve community, they're meet and mission, not so on the active duty side. But the reserve community, there's an opportunity for us to move folks from the reserve into active force. They get a taste of what we offer, and we can bring them over. But I think maybe the greater opportunity is in the collegiate program, what we call the chaplain candidate program. Mm-hmm. These are seminary students that are looking to it. And if we can get them into that program early and give them a taste of what we do, they often are very enthusiastic, and then we can get them onto active duty. Mm-hmm. So that's really our greatest opportunity before they get established in their job, to really give them a taste of the Navy.
Yeah, it's really good. And the last time we talked in Millington, we talked about sort of a chaplain national prospecting plan, sort of how many school visits, how many calls,
right.
Not to go into the nitty gritty of that, but sort of your perspective, because you kind of brought that to me at the same time that I was sort of talking about that in broader terms to the recruiters.
Right.
But how do you see that? Who do you, obviously I own the responsibility to make it happen, but just your thoughts on that.
What we're going to be talking about this week with our senior chaplains and RPs, and really what I want to drive throughout our Corps, is the responsibility of each of the chaplains to get that word out. We just have to tell people about what we do, and so that's kind of a full court press from everybody. Go back to where you came from and tell your story. Tell about Navy chaplaincy. It's an amazing ministry. And so hopefully we'll get that energy going, and the recruiters will be the recipients of an army of chaplains, or maybe a Marine Corps of chaplains coming out to try to get that word out. Yeah,
I think the order of magnitude, when you talk about 900-ish chaplains, and our mission direct accession is about 82, and the collegiate program is about 40-ish, so 120-ish there. The ratio is really good. Yeah. Not that each chaplain is going to go off and recruit another chaplain, but are available to make that phone call, or if a recruiter needs, like, hey, I need somebody to tell the story, the CHOPO can help connect that candidate either themselves or with another chaplain that has a similar denomination or a similar story about the value proposition of chaplaincy in the Navy.
Oh, yeah. It's an amazing ministry unlike anything else. And we only have to tell that story. I was at a seminary up in near Boston, Gordon Conwell. I just told the story of what Navy chaplains do, being on ships, being with Marines, being out with the Coast Guard, just that being with people where the rubber meets the road. And I still remember one of the students just stood up and said, I want that. I'll join right now. It's just getting the story out.
Right. Because, so many have talked about this idea of low propensity. And I imagine among seminary students and among professional clergy, professional pastors, there's what we would say is low propensity. That doesn't mean it's anti-service.
No.
It means they just don't know.
They don't know.
Right.
They don't know. And that's what we're finding out more and more and more, is that our story's just not getting out there. And when they do get it, it's like, wow, it just blows their mind.
Right, because you get to do the things that they have imagined that they would love about ministry,
right,
with a great group of people that have a great mission,
right,
and do have and are under stress.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, the Navy mission is not an easy mission, whether it's recruiting or driving a ship. And chaplains can really add significant value.
Well, and what I also tell religious leaders, I say, send us your people, because sadly, seminaries don't always teach us a lot about leadership. But you come into the Navy and you learn so much about being a leader just by being around good leaders, that you can learn those lessons and take them back into the religious world and be a better pastor, rabbi, priest, and really be a contributor then.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you think about the group of leaders you have downstairs, which is your captains and your captain selects.
Right. And our senior chief RPs and master chief RPs.
That's true, yes. Yeah. And a couple other of your deputy, as well as the reserve deputy.
Right.
What are some of the things that you hope that they take away from the discussions here relevant to recruiting the next generation?
I really want them to own the challenge. It really is an us sort of issue. And how do we work with recruiters to make us successful in this? You're right, the numbers aren't huge. But if we are all working together on this and it's a full court press, I'm confident we can get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that recruiters, all of you recruiters out there, you can get it done. When we think about the value proposition, you think about the job that we are advertising, it's a really meaningful job.
Yes.
And the benefits are good too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so meaningful. I mean, the sense of satisfaction in the job is huge.
Yeah.
But I also remember when I was a parish pastor, I was making $17,000 a year. And so it just kind of helped me take care of my family as well. So it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. So just when you reflect back on your journey, what are some of the things that, you know, maybe an anecdote or a story or two that, you know, led to your firm commitment to continue the path all the way to the Chief of Chaplains? What kept you in?
Right. You know, I was going to do one tour as active duty. I said, I'll give it a shot. And it was really the people that kept me in. And it was USS Chancellorsville was my cruiser that I was chaplain for. And I made lifelong friends among my shipmates and people that 25 years later, I'm still connected with. That was very meaningful. Later on, I got to be part of some really meaningful missions. And was first responder up in New York after 9/11. I deployed with Marines into combat and really felt like I was making a difference in their lives. And so the satisfaction in the mission also kept me in. And now I'm stuck.
Yeah.
I love it here. I love it.
And that's the story. That's the kind of story that your fellow chaplains, the folks coming up through the ranks, have similar stories. And those are the things that we in recruiting most value from the recruiting perspective in communicating with future candidates and in communicating with those that influence those candidates, right? The professors at seminaries, the folks that publish the periodicals for various denominations, right? getting them to know those stories. So.
It was a retired Navy chaplain who was dean of students at my seminary who got me thinking about the Navy. I mean, to your point, this is exactly what happened to me.
That's right. That's awesome. So as we wrap up, any final thoughts for the recruiters? Like what would, when you just pretend this is an all-hands call and you have a chance to kind of walk among recruiters, what would you want to tell them?
First off, just a thank you. I am so grateful to the recruiters who are working hard to recruit chaplains. I could not be more thankful. And the ones you're bringing in are amazing. They are some great chaplains and doing great work. Please give us a call if you need the support. We are here to help you. We're here to be teammates. And just how can we work together to meet this mission, bring in more chaplains so that they can do some more good work.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for taking the time today to join me for this podcast. Super meaningful, I think, for our recruiters, and in particular for those on the chaplain mission. So thanks. I appreciate your support.
I appreciate it, Admiral. It's great stuff.
All right. All right. Hoo-yah, Recruiting Nation. Thanks for your attention to this, the 15th episode of Uncharted Waters. This is Admiral James Waters. I'm out.